We start with our Newsmaker segment and talk with someone whose introduction could take all the time for the interview and much more. So, if you will, a quick overview. He's a former Missouri state rep and Secretary of State. He came close to winning a U.S. Senate seat, announced plans to run for Kansas City mayor, acknowledged issues with PTSD, the result of military service in Afghanistan, pulled out of the campaign, got treatment, got better, and is now working to promote the welfare of military veterans with the Veterans Community Project. Jason Kander, welcome to Ruckus. Mr. Secretary, it's a pleasure to meet you and appreciate you coming in.
Good to be with you.
Well, since you announced you were dealing with PTSD issues, there has been immense news coverage of your statements, what you've done, how you're doing, and it's been on newspaper front pages, on television, radio throughout the country. And it seems like all of it has been positive and supportive. Have you had any negative reaction from anyone, any organization?
No, which is honestly really reassuring. I mean, when I made that announcement, I had no idea what the reaction was going to be. I just sort of gotten to a point in my life where I stopped caring what the reaction was going to be and put my own health first. But yeah, it's obviously gratifying. I think the reaction to me and the way people have treated me is one thing. Everybody likes it when folks are nice to them, but for me, really, the gratifying part is just how many people have reached out to me personally, or how many thousands of emails I've gotten where people thank me for being public about it.
And conversely, how many people you have probably helped be aware of the problem and perhaps seek attention?
It's easily the most important thing I've ever done.
It seems not that long ago that you made the announcement that you were dealing with PTSD issues and were pulling out of the race for mayor in Kansas City. You obviously now seem to be in pretty good shape.
Thanks.
Are most people able to recover that quickly?
I can't speak for everybody. Everybody is different. One thing I'm really careful to do is, because look, I spent over a decade ranking my own experience and telling myself a story that it couldn't possibly be post-traumatic stress because I felt like I hadn't earned it. And a lot of people do that. And so one thing I'm really careful to do is, look, it was 8 months of therapy for me, and I'm not cured. You don't get cured from post-traumatic stress, but I feel very much like I've entered post-traumatic growth, and I'm going to work on it for the rest of my life. But I'm really careful not to talk about how long it's supposed to take. I can only talk about my experience. I don't want anybody to get discouraged if they're trying it.
You're now involved with the Veterans Community Project. Yeah. Talk about that. What is it? What does it do?
Well, let me first tell you how I got involved with it. I actually, I made this announcement, and then I realized there's a bunch of hurdles at the VA that I was not exactly sure how to get over, and so even somebody in my position, I knew the Veterans Community Project folks. I had toured the place 6 weeks earlier as a candidate for mayor. I called them up. I went in. I ended up being one of over 4,000 veterans in the Kansas City area who have gotten their help. In my case, they helped me with paperwork and made sure I got into mental health services at the VA. But they've done that for, as I said, thousands of veterans in Kansas City. And what they do is they fill in the gaps in veteran services. They don't advocate for the gaps to be closed. They don't complain about what the VA is doing. What they do is they come in and they say, here's a gap in service. Sometimes it could be anything applying to all veterans. Oftentimes it's the other half of what we do, which is housing. We provide transitional housing through our Veterans Village of tiny houses at 89th and Troost. And we just rescue people from those gaps. My job is to expand it nationally and make sure that we have this everywhere in the country.
And you're getting presidential candidates on the Democratic side, at least, to drop in and take a look at these houses while they're campaigning.
Sure. And we would welcome folks from either side. In fact, Senator Roy Blunt, who he and I have, I think it's well known.
That's who you ran against.
We had disagreements in the past. Yeah. I was really happy to be able to host him a few weeks ago. We had lunch. I showed him the place. So there's no political affiliation on dog tags.
I hope he bought. Lunch.
I think I bought lunch, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember.
Very quickly about politics. You announced you were going to run for mayor. Julie Justice had announced she was in the race. She dropped out when you dropped in. She said that you had the same constituency. You decided not to run. She got back in, and she lost in a big way. What's your assessment of that? How did that happen?
Oh, I don't know what my assessment is of it. I would just say that, municipal politics is not like a lot of the other politics I've engaged in. I mean, everybody who was running in that race were people that I've known for 10, 15 years. I mean, it's not this zero-sum game where you're like, well, if this person wins, it's the end of the world. I mean, I never really felt that way about it. I never felt like I was running against anybody when I was in the race. And look, Mayor Lucas, we've been friends for 15 years. He and I have seen each other and talked several times in the last few weeks. I'm genuinely happy and excited for him.
Thinking about running for office again at some undetermined point?
I'm really not. It doesn't mean I never will. Doesn't
I mean,
mean
people were talking about you running for president a year ago.
Yeah, that was nice of him. And look, I'll be honest, I was thinking about it a little over a year ago. But one of the things that's changed in my life is that when you're going through internal turmoil, the way I was for over a decade, there's a natural tendency, I think, to think about the future because it's just more pleasant than thinking about what's going on now. I really am grateful for the opportunity to do what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying my life right now. So there's no part of me that's thinking about running for office. That could change one day, but I really care about Veterans Community Project.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. I wish we could talk longer.
It's okay.
Thanks very much for coming in. Pleasure
Thanks
to
for
meet
having me.
you. Come back and see us again.
Okay.
That is former Missouri Secretary of State Jason Kander. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus.